Olivia Hartwell picked up her cell phone on Saturday morning while making her usual cup of coffee. The weekend phone call with her sister Emily had become a tradition that had continued for 3 years now. For her, working as a nurse at a pediatric hospital in Portland, weekends were a brief respite, and conversations with her sister were a special joy among them. "Emily. Good morning. How was your week?" Her sister's cheerful voice came through the phone. However, Olivia's sharp hearing didn't miss the slight fatigue mixed in that voice. Having worked as a nurse for many years, she had developed the ability to sensitively detect subtle changes in people's voices. "Olivia, I have incredible news. Ryan and I finally bought a new house." Emily's voice contained excitement, but there was something forced about it. Olivia couldn't hide her surprise. Her sister and brother-in-law had just moved to a small apartment in the Portland suburbs 3 years ago. For Emily, who had just become independent as a graphic designer, and Ryan, who was still beginning to build his career as an architect, purchasing a new home should have been a major decision. "Really? Congratulations, Emily. But are you sure? Financially, I mean." "We're fine. Ryan's work is going well, and my design company is starting to get on track. Besides," Emily paused slightly, "we needed a fresh start." At those words, Olivia frowned. A fresh start. What was her sister trying to start fresh from? But it was difficult to probe further over the phone. "Madison must be thrilled, isn't she?" "Yes, of course. She's over the moon about having her own room." Emily's voice softened a little. When talking about her 7-year-old daughter, she always regained her natural warmth. Olivia and Emily, who had lost their parents early, had grown up supporting each other. While Olivia was attending nursing school, Emily worked part-time to help with household expenses. When Emily was studying design at art college, Olivia worked while helping with tuition. Their bond was deeper than blood relations, and they had always consulted each other about important life decisions. That's precisely why Olivia had been sensitively picking up on her sister's recent changes. Starting about 3 months ago, Emily's voice had lost its former bounce. Weekend phone calls, which used to often stretch over an hour, had increasingly been cut short to about 30 minutes lately. She had thought it was because work was busy, but today's phrase, "fresh start," bothered her. "When are you moving?" "Next weekend. It's not completely organized yet, but we're planning to start living there anyway. Shall I come help?" "No, it's fine. We're having movers handle it." "But," Emily hesitated slightly, "if you wouldn't mind, could you come for a housewarming party next Saturday? Just a simple celebration." Olivia smiled. "Of course. I'm looking forward to it." After hanging up, Olivia sat back on the sofa and wrapped her hands around her coffee cup. Outside the window, Portland's typical overcast sky stretched out. The unease she had felt in her sister's voice wouldn't leave her mind. She had thought Emily and Ryan were an ideal couple. Gentle and thoughtful Ryan and creative, energetic Emily seemed to complement each other perfectly. Even after Madison was born, their relationship seemed unchanged and full of love. However, her sister's recent demeanor was clearly different. In the past, if there had been big news like purchasing a new home, she would have consulted excitedly from the planning stage. This time it was an after-the-fact report, and moreover, the meaningful phrase, "fresh start," was concerning. Olivia stared at her cell phone, thinking about what might be happening to her sister. Through her profession, she had seen many children dealing with family problems, and she well knew the impact that subtle changes within the home could have on children. Was Madison okay? Wasn't there something more serious hidden behind the superficial change of purchasing a new home? She would have to wait until next Saturday. Olivia sincerely wished for her sister's happiness while harboring a vague anxiety. Olivia took out an old photo album from the back of a drawer. After the phone call with Emily, she felt like looking back on nostalgic memories for some reason. As she turned the pages, a photo from 4 years ago in summer, when Madison was still 3 years old, caught her eye. It was a photo of a picnic at a park along the Columbia River. Under the blue sky, on a checkered picnic blanket, little Madison was munching on a sandwich on Ryan's lap. Emily was smiling gently at her daughter beside her, and Ryan was looking at his wife and child with loving eyes. Olivia herself was also in the photo, captured reading a picture book to Madison. The family in those days looked perfect. Olivia gazed at her sister and brother-in-law in the photo, remembering those times. Emily and Ryan were in their 3rd year of marriage and hadn't yet lost their newlywed glow. They always held hands, gazed at each other, and laughed together at small things. Even after Madison was born, their love seemed to deepen further, centered around their daughter. "Auntie, I want flowers." When 3-year-old Madison wanted to pick wildflowers, Ryan took his daughter's small hand and walked around the meadow together. Emily chased after them while recording the moment with her digital camera. Watching that scene, Olivia proudly thought that her sister had become an ideal mother. On the way home that day, Madison fell asleep in the car from exhaustion. Ryan carried his daughter up to the apartment while Emily quietly opened the door. Watching the three of them in perfect sync, Olivia was convinced that her sister had truly built a happy home. "Olivia, we're really happy." That night, after putting Madison to bed, Emily said to her sister while making tea in the kitchen. "Ryan is a wonderful husband and a wonderful father. Madison is growing up to be a healthy and cheerful child. What more could I possibly want?" Those words were filled with heartfelt satisfaction. Olivia also rejoiced in her sister's happiness as if it were her own. For the two who had lost their parents early, the warm home Emily had built was a precious existence that seemed to restore what they had lost. However, with the passage of time, subtle changes had begun. Olivia vividly remembered an incident at a picnic in the same park a year ago. Madison, now 6, had become more active than before and wanted to play on the playground equipment. Ryan was handling a big project at his architectural firm, and his cell phone rang several times. "Sorry, I have to take this." Ryan apologetically stood up and walked to a distant spot to answer the phone. Emily's expression clouded. "Lately, he gets work calls even on weekends," she sighed quietly. "It's a big project, so it can't be helped, but Madison looks forward to time with Daddy." At that moment, Madison fell from the playground equipment and scraped her knee. While Emily rushed over to comfort her daughter, Ryan was still on the phone. As Olivia applied a bandage and wiped Madison's tears, the little girl said in a small voice, "Is Daddy's work more important than me?" Those words tightened Olivia's chest. She understood well, through her profession, the anxiety that a 6-year-old child feels toward her father. Children are more sensitive than adults think and have the ability to detect subtle changes in the family. When Ryan finished his call and returned, Emily had already finished treating Madison's injury. "What happened?" the husband asked, and Emily answered curtly, "It's nothing serious." However, the family's conversation after that wasn't as lively as before. By fall, Emily's graphic design company had also become busy. In her 3rd year since becoming independent, she was finally beginning to build a stable customer base. However, this also meant long working hours. "Madison, Mommy has work, so spend the day with Auntie today." One Saturday, Emily asked Olivia to take care of Madison. Weekends that used to be spent as a family were increasingly being divided due to work. Madison enjoyed time with her aunt but occasionally showed lonely expressions. "Mommy and Daddy don't stay together like they used to." One day, Madison, who had just turned 7, confided to Olivia. "What do you mean?" Olivia asked gently. "Before, we used to be together as 3 people a lot, but now I'm often with just Mommy or just Daddy. And when they're together, they don't talk much." The child's frank observation pained Olivia's heart. Madison had sensitively picked up on the subtle changes in her parents' relationship. By winter, the situation became even more complex. Ryan's project was delayed, increasing his stress. Emily's company was doing well, but the price of success was even longer working hours for her. Both were tired, and conversations at home became limited to practical matters. Madison's parent-teacher conference is next Tuesday, Emily informed Ryan. I can't make Tuesday. I have an important client meeting, Ryan replied in a tired voice. Then I'll go. But I've already attended school events alone 3 times this month. Emily's voice was mixed with fatigue and irritation. Each time she heard such conversations, Olivia worried about her sister and brother-in-law. Both were good people with a strong sense of responsibility, and their love for their family remained unchanged. However, they were struggling to balance work success with family time. And now, Emily's news about purchasing a new home and the phrase, fresh start. Olivia closed the album, sincerely hoping that her sister and brother-in-law could truly have a new beginning in their new house. At the same time, she wondered how Madison was handling this change. For a 7-year-old girl, moving could be a significant stress, especially if she was already feeling anxious about her parents' relationship. The following Saturday afternoon, Olivia drove through a new residential development in the Portland suburbs. Following the address Emily had sent her, she proceeded through the winding roads of the residential area. It appeared to be a newly developed district, with still young street trees lined up in orderly rows and similar-looking houses standing side by side. Her sister's new home was a 2-story white house on a corner lot. The front yard had a small lawn, and the entrance porch was decorated with potted flowers. It was typical of Emily's warm touch. Olivia parked her car at the curb and took the housewarming gifts from the back seat. A set of picture books for Madison and a bottle of fine wine for Emily and her husband. As she approached the front door, Olivia frowned. The door was half open. The March afternoon was still chilly, and considering heating costs, they normally wouldn't leave the door wide open. She reached out to ring the bell but decided to call out since the door was open. Emily. Madison. It's me, Olivia. There was no answer. Wind blew into the entrance hall, and somewhere a door was making light sounds. Olivia became a little anxious and called out again. Is anyone there? Emily. Silence continued. Olivia hesitated but stepped into the house through the half-open door. The entrance hall was bright, with family photos still unframed and leaning against the wall. Several cardboard boxes were stacked on the floor, giving the house the typical cluttered atmosphere of a place just moved into. Emily. Ryan. Olivia's voice echoed through the house. Entering the living room, afternoon light streamed in through large windows. A new sofa sat wrapped in plastic, and the TV was still unpacked. On the coffee table, papers from the real estate company and bank loan-related documents were scattered. Olivia looked around the house, wondering where her sister's family was. No car was parked outside, but Emily had said to come at 2 p.m. Perhaps they were delayed with final moving tasks. Heading to the kitchen, she found a drawing by Madison attached to the refrigerator with a magnet. It was a rainbow picture with "New House" written in childish letters underneath. Olivia smiled as she looked at her niece's drawing. At least Madison seemed to be looking forward to the new house. Halfway up the stairs to the second floor, Olivia heard a small sound. A faint sound like someone holding their breath. At the top of the stairs, there were 3 doors. One was a bathroom, another was the master bedroom, and the last must be the child's room. Madison. Olivia called out gently. The sound seemed to be coming from the master bedroom. The door was slightly open, allowing her to peek inside. The room, still unorganized, had cardboard boxes and clothes taken from the closets scattered about. A large double bed was placed in the center of the room, with furniture arranged haphazardly around it. Then Olivia gasped. Small feet were visible from under the bed. A child's feet. Small feet wearing white socks protruded slightly from the edge of the bed. Madison. Olivia carefully entered the room and approached the bed. Madison, are you there? After a moment of silence, a faint voice was heard. Auntie. Yes, it's Aunt Olivia. Can you come out? Don't tell anyone, Madison's voice was trembling. Olivia knelt down and peered under the bed. In the dim space, her 7-year-old niece was curled up and shaking. Madison's eyes were wet with tears, and tear tracks marked her cheeks. In her hands, she clutched a worn teddy bear. Madison, what's wrong? Why are you hiding in such a place? Olivia asked in a gentle voice. Auntie, don't tell anyone, Madison pleaded again. What shouldn't I tell? First come out, and let's talk. Slowly, Madison crawled out from under the bed. Her hair was disheveled, and her clothes were dusty. Olivia lifted her niece and sat her on the edge of the bed. What's wrong, Madison? Why are you here alone? Where are Mommy and Daddy? Madison looked up at her aunt's face and answered in a tearful voice. Mommy is going away. Olivia's heart leaped. What did you say? This morning, I saw Mommy's suitcase. And on the desk, there was a paper. Madison's words caught in her throat. It said divorce on it. Olivia gasped. Divorce. The word echoed in her head. Madison, you saw that paper. But adult documents are complex and difficult for children to understand. But Mommy's suitcase had lots of clothes in it. And this morning, Mommy and Daddy were talking loudly. Madison's tears began to overflow again. Is Mommy going to leave me behind? Olivia gently hugged Madison. She could feel her niece's small body trembling. For a 7-year-old child, her parents' divorce was incomprehensible terror. Especially the anxiety about whether she was the cause and what would happen to her was immeasurable. Where is Mommy? Olivia asked quietly. She went with Daddy to look at new furniture. But I didn't want to go. So I said I'd wait here. But really? Madison's voice caught. Really, I was scared that Mommy wouldn't come back. Olivia's heart ached. Madison had been facing fear alone while her parents were out. And from anxiety that the family might fall apart, she had hidden under the bed. Madison, listen carefully, Olivia gently cupped her niece's face. The adult world is sometimes complex and difficult for children to understand. But your Mommy and Daddy love you. That will absolutely never change. But if they get divorced, what will happen to me? Madison's voice was small. Olivia chose her words carefully. As a nurse, she had seen many children from families experiencing divorce. She understood their anxiety and confusion well. First, we need to talk together with Mommy and Daddy. But whatever happens, don't forget that you are loved. And Aunt Olivia will always be by your side. At that moment, the sound of the front door opening was heard. Emily and Ryan's voices echoed from downstairs. Madison. We're home, Emily's voice called. Where's Madison? Ryan's voice was also heard. Madison clung to Olivia. Auntie, what should I do? It's okay. Let's go downstairs together. And let's all talk together, Olivia stroked Madison's hair. Learning the truth might be scary, but it's much better than suffering from imagination. The sound of footsteps on the stairs was heard, and Emily and Ryan came up to the second floor. The bedroom door opened, and the two entered the room. Olivia. You came, Emily smiled when she saw her sister, but her expression changed when she saw Madison's tear tracks. Madison, what's wrong? Ryan also approached his daughter with concern. What happened? Madison looked up at her parents and said in a trembling voice. Mommy, actually. She continued in a tearful voice. Is Mommy going to leave me behind? I saw the divorce papers. And the suitcase too. Emily and Ryan looked at each other. Then, both rushed to Madison simultaneously and hugged their daughter. Oh, Madison, Emily's voice was also mixed with tears. What you saw were old documents. Documents we don't need anymore. That's right, Madison, Ryan also said gently. We would never leave you behind. Never. The four moved to the living room and sat on the sofa. Madison sat next to Olivia, holding her aunt's hand with her small hand. Emily and Ryan sat facing each other, both seeming shocked by their daughter's words. Madison, can you tell us more about the documents you saw? Emily asked gently. Madison answered hesitantly, this morning, when I went to Mommy's room, there was a paper on the desk. Divorce was written in big letters. And there was a suitcase on the bed with lots of Mommy's clothes in it. Ryan sighed deeply. Madison, you saw the wrong thing at the wrong time. What do you mean? Madison's voice was full of anxiety. Emily and Ryan looked at each other. Then Emily spoke. Madison, Olivia, we have something to tell you. But first, what we want to say is that we will absolutely never separate. As a family, we'll always be together. Olivia carefully observed her sister's expression. There were tears in Emily's eyes, but they seemed to be more relief than sadness. Actually, Ryan began, these past few months, Emily and I have been going through a difficult time. Work was busy, and we didn't have enough time to understand each other. Emily nodded. We love each other, but in our daily lives, we had lost time as a couple. And she caught her words. I really did consider divorce for a while. Madison's face paled. Olivia gripped her niece's hand more tightly. But, Ryan continued, we decided to seek professional help. We started going to a counselor and began talking honestly about each other's feelings. And we realized, Emily's voice brightened, the problem wasn't a lack of love, but that we had forgotten to cherish each other in our busyness. Olivia sighed with relief. She could understand that her sister and brother-in-law were trying to overcome the crisis of divorce. But what were the documents Madison saw? Olivia asked. Ryan stood up and went upstairs. A few minutes later, he returned with a stack of documents. This is it, he placed the documents on the table. These were old legal documents, a revised version of the prenuptial agreement we had created before marriage. When purchasing this new house, we consulted a lawyer to organize our financial affairs. Emily continued the explanation. The lawyer also explained property division in case of divorce, just as a precaution. So he gave us divorce-related documents as reference materials. But we had absolutely no intention of using them. And the suitcase? Madison asked in a small voice. Emily smiled. I was organizing old clothes. To make a fresh start in the new house, I was planning to donate clothes I no longer wear to charity. Ryan knelt in front of Madison. Madison, we're truly sorry for making you feel scared. As adults, we should have explained more to you. That's right, Emily also sat next to her daughter. It's true that we were going through a difficult time. But to overcome that difficulty, we moved to this new house. To make a fresh start as a family here. Madison looked at her parents but still didn't seem completely reassured. But Daddy and Mommy stopped talking as much, didn't you? You stopped laughing like before. Olivia was impressed by her niece's sharp observation. Even a 7-year-old child could sensitively detect subtle changes in adult relationships. Emily hugged her daughter. That's right, Madison. In our busyness, we had forgotten to cherish family time. But it's different now. The counselor taught us, and we're relearning how to cherish each other. What kind of methods? Madison asked with interest. Ryan answered, for example, during dinner time every day, we don't talk about work, only family matters. We always make family time on weekends. And Mommy and Daddy also make time for just the two of us. And, Emily continued, we'll also cherish time with Madison more. We'll listen to what you have to say better and spend more fun time together. Madison's expression gradually began to brighten. Really? Really? Emily and Ryan answered simultaneously. Olivia watched the family conversation, feeling her sister and brother-in-law's growth. By experiencing difficult times, they had rediscovered the importance of family. But, Madison still said with concern, what if you don't get along again? Ryan answered with a serious expression, Madison, adults aren't perfect either. Sometimes we make mistakes or have troubles. But what's important is that when that happens, we don't run away but try to solve it together. Emily nodded. And Madison, if you're ever worried about anything, always talk to us. Don't keep it to yourself. Don't hide under the bed like today, but talk to us properly, Ryan said gently. Madison nodded slightly. Then she suddenly jumped into her parents' arms and hugged them. Mommy, Daddy, I love you. We love you too, Madison, Emily said, stroking her daughter's hair. Olivia watched the family embrace and wiped away tears. She could feel that her sister's family was overcoming difficulties and becoming bound by even stronger ties. Olivia, Emily looked at her sister. Thank you so much for being here today. If you hadn't found Madison, we might not have realized how frightened she was. We're family, Olivia smiled. When we're in trouble, we help each other. Ryan stood up. Now, let's start the real housewarming celebration. Madison, why don't you show Auntie your new room? Madison's face lit up. Auntie, my room is so wonderful. It has pink walls and a big window. The family headed to the second floor. Madison excitedly pulled her aunt's hand while beginning to boast about her new room. Olivia walked behind her sister and brother-in-law, noticing that they were holding hands. It was a sight she hadn't seen in a long time. While preparing dinner, Emily confided to Olivia, actually, this house purchase was also part of repairing our relationship. We wanted a fresh start in a new environment, creating new family rules and making a real, fresh start. That's a wonderful idea, Olivia placed her hand on her sister's shoulder. You've overcome difficult times and become a stronger family. That night, the four shared dinner at the new dining table. Madison sat between her parents, happily talking about her new school and friends. Emily and Ryan listened attentively to their daughter's stories, occasionally bursting into laughter. 3 months later, Olivia visited Emily's new home again. This time it was for a family party. Relatives and friends had gathered to celebrate Madison's 8th birthday. Colorful balloons decorated the yard, and a homemade cake sat on the picnic table. Madison was playing on the lawn with new friends, their laughter echoing in the early summer air. It's incredible how much has changed, isn't it? Emily said as she sat next to Olivia. Her sister's expression had a peacefulness that hadn't been there 3 months ago. Yes, really, Olivia answered, watching Madison play in the yard. Madison's smile is completely different. Indeed, Madison had completely regained her former brightness. She had quickly adjusted to her new school and made many friends. Most importantly, with the stability of her relationship with her parents, her natural curiosity and liveliness had returned. Are you still continuing counseling? Olivia asked. Yes, twice a month. At first I felt heavy about it, but now I look forward to it, Emily smiled. We're relearning how to communicate. Methods for honestly expressing each other's feelings, specific ways to cherish family time even when we're busy. Ryan waved from the barbecue grill in the yard. He had adjusted his workload and decided to always spend weekends with his family. As a result, his evaluation at the architectural firm remained high, and he said he was actually able to work more efficiently. We also created new house rules, Emily continued. No cell phones during dinner, Saturdays are family-only time, and once a month we have a date just for the couple." Olivia was impressed. Having specific rules makes them easier to follow. "That's right. And we're having Madison participate in family meetings too. We want to value children's opinions." At that moment, Madison came running over. With flushed cheeks and hair tousled by the wind, she jumped into her aunt's arms. "Look, this is my new friend Sarah." Madison was pulling the hand of a girl her age. "Sarah, this is my favorite aunt." "Hello," Sarah greeted politely. "Hello, Sarah." "Thank you for being friends with Madison," Olivia responded warmly. After the two girls returned to play, Emily said with deep emotion, "That day, if you hadn't found Madison, we might not have realized how much she was suffering." "Children are more sensitive than adults think," Olivia said, reflecting on her experience as a nurse. "But at the same time, with appropriate love and support, they have surprising resilience." In the evening, as Madison blew out the candles on her cake, family and friends sang around her. Olivia watched the scene, remembering that day 3 months ago. Her little niece trembling under the bed, fear of divorce, and the moment when the family's truth was revealed. "Happy birthday, Madison," Ryan lifted his daughter. "Thank you, Daddy. This is the best birthday ever," Madison answered with a beaming smile. That evening, after the guests went home, the four spent a relaxing time in the living room. Madison was dozing on the sofa from exhaustion. "What is a real family?" Emily suddenly murmured. Ryan answered thoughtfully, "A relationship that faces difficulties together without running away, I think. And a relationship that cherishes each other's feelings," Emily added. Olivia looked at Madison's sleeping face and said, "A real family is a relationship that, when problems arise, doesn't hide or run away from them, but works together to solve them. Especially by sincerely addressing children's anxieties, the entire family can grow." Emily and Ryan nodded. All three felt the magnitude of what they had learned in these 3 months. "This house has truly become our fresh start," Emily said, looking at the yard outside the window. "Not newness as a building, but a new beginning as a family." Madison murmured softly on Olivia's lap, "Auntie, our family won't be separated anymore, right?" "We'll absolutely never be separated," Olivia answered, gently stroking her niece's hair. "When there are difficulties, overcoming them together is what makes a real family." Moonlight streamed through the windows of the new house, illuminating the embracing family. In this house, they had made a true, fresh start. The four had learned firsthand that love, by overcoming trials, becomes deeper and stronger.